I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything.
What's up, betters? How we doing, y'all? Happy Sunday. We are having sales left and right. Come in and get it. All right, that was a horrible introduction here, but welcome, y'all. Beautiful Sunday. We are going to be talking aliens, UFOs, right? Specifically, a Soul Foundation presentation from Colonel Carl Nell. I've got some slides, y'all, to see exactly what they're talking about. If you don't know, this very weekend, the Soul Foundation, who is headed up specifically by lots of people, but mainly a face y'all would recognize, Gary Nolan, right? Other people are involved, of course. And they put on the very first one last year. They released videos months later, that sort of thing. But they had another one this year, and a lot of people are speaking, giving presentations, right? So I've got some slides. I made a video about Eric Davis just a couple days ago, or yesterday. I can't really remember. Also about something he said at the Soul Foundation event. So first off, I just want to give a shout out to all the mods working in the chat today. Thank y'all so much. And just for all the work they do in general, y'all. Okay, we got Allie, Justin, Daniel, Miss Brookers, Heiser, Soze, Jessica, Chris James, boom. And a special shout out to Todd, who helps run our open mics in our Discord channel. If you haven't joined that already, we have conversations directly after each video premieres, essentially every day in our Discord. It's free to join. You can jump on the mic and talk. It's not exclusive in any way. And that's it. I heard real quick before we jump in here, Todd sent me a link of an X space of people talking about our open mic discussion, right, that we have in Discord, and saying how amazing it was. It was great. But one person was asking, like, oh, is that where, does Patrick have inside sources? And the person didn't, answer. Clearly my rule is I don't have inside sources or anonymous sources, right? That's clearly my rule here on the channel. And they kind of assumed that Discord group was my sources, like it's an exclusive group of people who give me information. It's not, y'all. It's just us vetters hanging out. So I thought that was kind of funny. But anyway, we're letting people jump in. If you're just joining us, we are going to be talking about the Soul Foundation Soul event today, and many other things, right, that we're going to get into. I've got some slides of Colonel Carl Nell's presentation, so we're going to be going over that. And you know what? Let's just bring it in here. Boom. Let's just see here. What do we got? UAP campaign plan, lines of effort. Phase 1, demonstrate UAP existence. Phase 2, correlate UAP signatures. Phase 3, characterize UAP performance. Phase 4, determine UAP nature. Phase 5, NHI engagement. So this is kind of interesting, right? So under A, they've got public sector, the government, right? Policy, law, national security. After disclosure, what happens here? B, philosophical investigation, humanities, ethics, sociology, anthropology, religion. C, scientific research, natural sciences, physics, chemistry, material science, biology, private sector, industry and society, blah, 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 healthcare, medicine, how that affects that. Okay. So as we demonstrate UAP existence, they're seeing how each of these, right, sectors goes, depending on it. But I would say we're still in phase 1. right? Are we? I don't know if we're out of phase 1 already. Demonstrate UAP existence. I think I don't know about that. That's worded interesting. Like, where's evidence of like prove UAPs exist? Where's that phase? I don't see it on here. But phase 5 is NHI engagement, which is interesting. Some say we already have that. So I don't know. Again, I'm not hearing Carl Nell speaking along these slides, right? Make sure everybody can see this. Okay, good. So line of effort, A, government. Okay, so I guess he's breaking this down, right? So policy, how best to create an oversight control group directly advising the President of the United States so as to develop national UAP policy. Again, before we start, this is all interesting because it's like, why are we not focused on proving aliens exist first and then getting to this stuff? Why isn't all the effort on giving evidence out, right? I get that these conversations need to happen as well. I do get that. I understand. And maybe that's just my bias speaking. But why aren't we just focused on proving it first? You hear a lot of people say, "Oh, we're past proof." That if anybody's still talking about that, they don't know what they're talking about. What are you talking about? Where is that proof at? It can't be, well, 10 people have said it and they're credible. So that I don't care if 1,000 people say it. There's no proof. There ain't nothing. What do I mean by proof? I don't know. I don't know the exact proof I personally would need or lots of people would need to believe it, right? I don't know what that proof is till I see it. I think that's fair. I don't know what to say. I mean, if I say UFO, maybe a UFO is presented where I'm like, that's, not it or something else. I don't know. Regardless. Interesting. So the government, number 2 here, information. How best to centralize all government UAP data and accelerate public sector UAP research and something. I don't know. Okay. Finance. How best to remove stigma, incentivize academic research into UAP. All right. I get that. I like that. Okay. Legal. How best to incentivize UAP whistleblower testimony, remediate misdeeds, and restore accountability. That's an interesting one, right? How to incentivize UAP whistleblower testimony. Like, are we going to offer an all-paid exclusive trip to Cancun for 2 weeks? I don't know. Because protections doesn't seem like enough. I don't think there's any protections, right? I mean, if they can just take your life, what does it matter what the protections are? I don't know what laws can be put in place, right? Seems kind of interesting. I don't know. That's a tough one for sure. That battle of, is a whistleblower really a whistleblower if he needs protections? That makes sense, right? Then he's just a witness. I don't know. And I'm not saying to try to understand what if somebody's in a program like that and what they may be going through to think about coming out and saying something. I don't know. But with that said, the things that get said at like conferences like this and events like this, you would think, how are they allowed to say that if they're so worried about, what they can say, classified, this, and that, but then they'll reveal all kinds of stuff. So I don't know. It's almost like this Soul event was the hearing we all wanted. Intelligence. What are the public and private positions of every nation with respect to UAP, and do they intend to preempt U.S. disclosure? Okay, so it's a fight to it's like a fight to get to the moon, right? Who can get it first? Diplomacy. How best to start an international dialogue concerning the ramification of UAP while developing requisite norms of behavior. Yeah. I think the best way to do all of this is, right, to have absolute undeniable proof come out about NHI, whistleblowers, actual people who worked on the craft and legacy come forward, tell their story. And then that would ease all of this. Then nations would absolutely want to start having public dialogue about this and researching, and stigmas would get lifted immediately. You would have Congress immediately want to pass whistleblower protection laws because they would know it's true. Okay, yeah, we want to hear from these people now. Does that make sense? Like, it would literally solve every single problem. And now when you look at this UFO community as a whole and all the people that are coming out with claims, former military, former government officials, whatever, there's so many now. You know what I mean? There's so many. We can't get some proof out? That seems odd to me. Line of effort B, Humanities Administration. How best to train new scholars focused on UAP, TUO, and NHI. TUO. I think, what is that? Oh, no. Where did I see? I saw that. That was mentioned in Immaculate Constellation. TUO. I forget what it is. Technological unidentified objects. Does anyone know what can someone put that in the chat for me? TUO. That would be great. If anybody can find that, put that in the chat. Help me out here. Anybody. Here we go. No, nobody. All right. Well, I keep looking at the chat here. Hopefully somebody will put that. That's it. Technology of unknown origin. Thank you, everybody. That's interesting, right? TUO, technology of unknown origin. I get the acronym for sure, but that was also specifically used in Immaculate Constellation, and I had not seen it before. So I don't know. Is Carl Nell the Immaculate Constellation whistleblower, or know them, or did something that person was looking into, that whistleblower, run across something Carl Nell did or experienced or something? So that's interesting. So we've had a few different acronyms brought into the public sphere recently, right? UAP changed from UFOs, TUO is added, and NHI, right? And some people are even using NHHI, right? Non-human higher intelligence. So I don't know how to best train new scholars focused on. Interesting. How to best train them. Training is an interesting word instead of teach. Or I don't know. That's interesting. Ethics. How best to balance the right to exist versus the responsibility to protect, given the reality of NHI and a possible hierarchy of being. I guess that's, the food chain, asking about sort of the food chain. Right to exist, responsibility to protect, ethics. Well, I can just tell you right now, forget all of this. Forget that question. No offense. And it should just be ethics. We humans deserve to know, no matter what. Right? No matter what, we deserve to know if we're not alone in the universe and if they've been coming here. Me personally, I don't care what the ramifications are. Because eventually that's going to happen. Whatever, eventually, if it's true, it will come out. So we'll have to deal with it regardless. So let's go. Because anyone trying to like claim, well, society couldn't handle it and this, that, you don't know that. I don't, well, we done some studies. Impossible that those studies would tell you what impact that would have. It's all meaningless. So therefore, we have to fall on the default position for humanity as a whole, because we can't think like Americans or whatever. We have to think like humans. Humans deserve to know, regardless. I mean, it'd be like, well, let's keep it, back in the day, be like, let's keep it a secret that the earth is flat or the earth is round, right? We'll just keep telling people the earth is flat. It'll be too much for people. They'll freak out. And guess what? That is what happened. They try to suppress that information the same way these people are trying to suppress this information. Like this whole idea of, well, we got to figure it out, disclose BS. Because if I'm to believe all the stories that are out there already, they're already abducting people, crashing, visiting, communicating, working alongside humans in labs. And I mean, what are we talking about? Those people handle it just fine. Right? I mean, I think we've proven we can handle it just fine. And honestly, it doesn't matter if we can or we can't. One human can't decide for the rest of humanity what's good for humanity. That's not good, or a group of people. Things just need to happen. And we'll deal with it, good or bad. Like that revelation is like fire, right? Or water, in the sense that it has no friend, it has no foe. It will just flow, right? Water just flows. Fire just flow. It just does its thing. That's disclosure. It's just going to do its thing. There's nothing we can do about it, nor should we do anything about it. That's my opinion. Sociology, this is number 9. How best to quantify, forecast, assess, and mitigate potential negative effects of UAP disclosure to society. Well, that's hilarious because that's what I just said, right? This is all impossible. Mitigate potential negative effects. Let me tell you where you start. Start giving us proof of things. Stop telling just stories with nothing, right? Let's start having real hearings. Let's get whistleblowers out. I mean, there's so many things. You want to mitigate the negative effects? Start telling us the truth. Let's start there. Then we can deal with the negative effects. But again, trying to who are these people? Are they trained? I mean, what's their specialty and knowledge of how to break a new reality to an entire biological species, right? On a floating rock through space. Like, what, you've done that on another planet? You broke some realities to them? Like, what, how do you put that on your resume? You know what I'm saying? Navy, DOD, Mars, it's like, what are we talking about here? There is no way to do this. And I think this is pointless. I'm sorry. I think that's a slippery slope when people want to quantify, forecast, assess, and mitigate potential negative effects of UAP disclosure. Good luck. History. What is the evidence of NHI interacting with humanity on this planet, and how far back in time might this have begun? I like it. I like this question. Right? What is the evidence? There we go. Of NHI interacting with humanity on this planet. What is that evidence? And where? And where is that evidence? And can we be shown that evidence once and for all? That proof. How far back in time might this have begun? That's a great question. We talked about this in our Discord open mic yesterday, which I love these conversations. Our own human history, and might there have been other advanced higher intelligence beings that interacted with us, taught us, brought us here, maybe even, in fact, created us. Um, Very interesting, right? And looking back through time at different art and, stories that are told, it's interesting. People saw things back then too, right? Some of it, a lot of it was given, religious connotations or explanations, right? God, a god of some sort or whatever, right? But I don't know. I agree. That's pretty fascinating. How far back in time these sightings can go and experiences. So I love that question. 11, anthropology. Do UAP close observers, aka experiencers, have inherent characteristics that distinguish them from the remainder of the population? So this is a popular topic that um, Gary Nolan has brought up, and many people, right? I forget what it is, the caudate putam or something like that. I don't know. I did not say that right. You know, your bloodline, right? They've talked about Cherokee bloodline or Native American bloodlines, indigenous bloodlines, something to give you an edge, essentially, that you'd be able to make these connections and/or you have these connections because of that. Or just it's like your radio is tuned just a little differently, right? Your antenna, it's you're able to get this. Now some say you're just, there's theories that you're just born with it. There's theories that after you have an encounter, you then have this sort of, reverberating effect left in you or around you. Could affect, your family. Some call it the hitchhiker effect. So I don't know. I don't know. But I do warn of the idea that you have to be special to see things or hear things or experience things. I do warn of that sort of push, right? Well, your caudate isn't big enough, so you're not going to have an alien encounter, right? Because now you're going to have people Google search it. How do I grow my caudate? Whatever, it's like a part in your brain, right? They say that some people's is bigger, X, Y, Z. I mean, from a scientific standpoint, could something like that be true? Sure. No way to know. But it is an interesting discussion. 12, religious studies. What effect have NHI had on world religions historically? And would public realization be projected to have post disclosure? Interesting. Well, yeah, that's impossible to quantify what effect NHI have had on world religions historically because you have to answer a lot of questions just to get to that question, right? One, NHI, what does that even mean? What do you mean? I mean, I know what you mean, but like, what do you mean? World religions. I mean, I guess I think I know what he means by that. Historically, how far back historically? I don't know. That's interesting. I mean, look, it's definitely worth discussing how would religion be impacted by post disclosure, right? In the sense that, okay, we're not alone. Now we know it. Aliens are here. Now, what are religious leaders, religious patrons going to say? Going to feel? Will it enforce their religion? Will it invalidate? I don't know. I think that's a personal journey, right? And a cultural one too, for sure. Line of effort C, natural sciences. Data collection. How best to move beyond incidental and reactive UAP investigative strategies? Hmm. That's interesting. Well, hmm. Here's a great question. If these NHI are coming and they're here and they're visiting all the time, and we're even, again, you hear so many different stories of the same type of thing that it's like this can't all be true, right? So, I've heard we lure these UFOs and then shoot them down. I've heard also we can't do that, but we chase them every once in a while, but we don't know what's going on. I've also heard they use hybrids to bring them down, psychics that can communicate with the craft and then bring the craft. We tease the craft. They forget all that. They donate their craft to us. They're called gifting sites, not crash sites. Gifting sites, right? These are donations that the NHI are giving us so we can learn. Crop circles, that sort of thing too, right? Like what are those intended for, right? Information. So it's almost like data collection. Well, the NHI has their own way of giving us data if this is all true, right? But wouldn't they affect how we then collect data about them? Right? If we know they're flying around and doing all these things, abducting people, crashing, how doesn't our data collection get affected? Like if they could take over the world, wouldn't they have done that already? They need us to realize it's true before they do it. One, that makes zero sense. If you were going to take over the planet, the surprise effect, right? If we don't know it's coming, that would be the best surprise to come in. So it's very interesting. I don't know. But if we're just from a we don't know what's flying around in the skies viewpoint, data collection, the most we can get. But again, a lot of these people, and including Carl Nell, he knows personally we are not alone. It is no doubt. 100%. So then this doesn't make sense. Because a lot of this for me, comes from the standpoint of we don't know what's flying around. I don't know. I'm just confused, which I'm easily confused. So it's probably just me, y'all. Citability. How best to make UAP data academically citable? Good question. I have no idea. Statistics. What are the authoritative temporal and geospatial distributions of UAP occurrence and NHI contact? That's interesting. UAP occurrence and NHI contact. Because what do they mean by contact? Contact how? Right? As Luis Elizondo testified to, there's nonverbal communication as well. Right? If having a UAP occurrence, that in and of itself is contact, right? According to that theory. So what do they mean by that? NHI contact. And, also, what do they mean by UAP occurrence? And I guess he would be there to explain this, right, at the presentation, hopefully. What are the range of morphologies, behaviors, phenotypes? Well, supposedly that's all been decided. That's what we've been told. Danny Sheehan has stated exactly how many species are on Earth, what they are, their intentions, what's going on. So I don't know. Is it that some people don't know what they're talking about? Or some people know what they're talking about, and other people are like, I'm not ready to talk about that yet, but I know the same thing. Right? Because let's try to set an objective truth down, right? Bunch of objective truths down. Anyone you talk to in this community, well, how many species are there? Well, some people say this, some people say that, right? How many types of UFOs have there been? Well, some people have said this, some people have said that. When did this all start? Well, some people have said that, and some people, right? Every question you ask, it's like, well, there's a range of data out there, a range of stories. But then they all kind of back each other up, like, well, he's credible and but y'all are saying different things. Again, it can't all be true. I'm not saying it's all bullshit either. I'm just saying what's going on? So, what are the range of like, good luck figuring that out. Behaviors, phenotypes, physics. Has physics been misdirected? And if so, where should it refocus? That's definitely over my head. I'm not a physicist or a scientist. I know tangentially and just topically something about this stuff. I'm very interested in science, and I actually watch a lot of science podcasts and um, just different shows and whatever literature that I like to read. Um, it has nothing to do with UFOs. I'm just interested in science as a whole, but I don't know it, enough about that's a long discussion because again, a lot of people said different things about physics. And there is a true definition to what physics is, right? Like a dictionary definition, but people use it in such a loose way sometimes. I'm not sure what he even means here by physics. Where should it refocus? Where it can give us just humans. It should refocus on, physics is also an independent journey, right? If you're a scientist, you also have just your own journey you want to take. But then there's the science community that kind of forces people to take journeys. Like, who's leading that? You know what I mean? Science used to be this sort of independent journey you would take, and then it became a sort of a group journey, right? A human societal journey, which I think there should be multiple journey. Like, there's the group think, and then there should be the individual think, right? Anyway, that probably made zero sense. Material science, how best to extend, the methods of material science so as to accurately identify, analyze, and possibly replicate TUO. Again, technologies of unknown origin. Again, that was also mentioned in Immaculate Constellation, and I had never seen that before. Maybe people in the comments can mention if they've heard that before, that acronym. I don't know this one, right? Who knows? Oh, that's over my head. Biology. Have NHI interfered in the evolution of Homo sapiens? I'm either too dumb to know that should be put twice, or that shouldn't be put twice, right? Sapiens. I mean, I'm sure it's just a mistake. Maybe it's supposed to be that way, and I'm the idiot. It's completely possible. This is an interesting question, though. One that gets brought up a lot, actually. Have NHI interfered in the evolution of man? Let's just put it that way, right? Humans, as we are today, your neighbor, your post office worker that brings you your mail, the waitress, the bartender you go see, right? Have we all been engineered by this same advanced species that's here, sort of watching the experiment? Or did they just kind of come and flick a little switch in our DNA and then take off and whatever, Or maybe they just gave us knowledge. They just taught us stuff, but we evolved on our own, right? When you say interfered in the evolution, there's many ways to think about that, right? You could think, did they interfere in the evolution of our society and the evolution of just physically who we are, genetically who we are, down to our DNA, mentally, right? There's academically, there's many ways, medically, again, psychologically, maybe only. So there's many ways to think about how NHI could have interfered in our evolution, right? Which is interesting to think about. And I definitely leave that open. I'm not going to lie, because the history of man is a mystery, and we don't have all the answers there. And that to me is for certain. Medicine. God, this is an extremely long presentation to go through all this, right? Mental health and well-being. How best to diagnose and treat ontological shock from NHI contact and UAP disclosure for the individual patient as well as for society as a whole. I don't know what to say here. I guess the PC answer would be yes, we need to protect mental health and make sure we're all good to go and we can handle this and let's make sure everyone's got lotion and hand sanitizer and Kleenex and everyone's had a hot bath, okay, with a little bath bomb, okay, get some jazz music going. Um, pull the pin, throw the grenade, and we'll just see what happens. Like I would say the same way we deal with mental health and well-being now. Nothing needs to change. What would we do differently? You know what I mean? What would we do differently? And let's be real, the first couple generations or few generations dealing with this would be clearly the most like unknowns. I get it. Um, After a while, it just becomes life. You know what I mean? It just becomes life. Physical health research. What are the physiological and neurological effects deriving from close encounters with operational UAP or live NHI and the underlying causal mechanism? I mean, I don't know. Again, this is all like a lot of these answers. Again, if scientists had access to the craft, the bodies, and then you could answer all these questions. Trying to answer them without any of this is like great for like campfire conversations. And I guess for events like this, I guess, right? I mean, at the end of the day, people should be allowed to talk about what they want, but this is potentially one of David Grush's witnesses could be testifying, right? Helping lead legislation behind the scenes. And this is what we're talking about? Maybe I just need to understand. I just need context. I just need, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm not getting it. But trying to understand this when supposedly the thing that would help you understand it is just right around the corner. It's just underground. It's just over here. I don't know. This whole idea of let's prepare society for disclosure and then we'll reveal everything. We'll put all these things in place and then reveal it. I mean, I guess it sounds good like a movie, but again, who decides that for us? Why do you get to decide that? And we have no say in it. Again, freedom is messy, right? Freedom is just messy. It's just how it is, but it's freedom, right? Interesting. Interesting conversation. Um, Physical health treatment. Okay, so yeah, same thing. How best to diagnose and treat adverse health effects from UAP close encounters, AHI, purported phantom pregnancies, and possible alien implants. Phantom pregnancies, like immaculate conception. Um, hmm. I haven't heard too many of those stories. Not sure what AHI is. What is AHI? Does anyone know what that is? Yeah, I don't know what AHI is. I don't know. We'll see if somebody puts it in there. I think you just treat all of this like you would normal, right? Just normal. Maybe start to develop some different protocols once you've had some precedent and experience, right? That's kind of how any field works. Exceptional experience research. How best to categorize exceptional or high strangers experience and determine causal mechanisms. Mm, that's interesting. I think if someone comes in is like, I had a UFO experience, boom, that's it. But all right, I guess it's like, who are they asking this to? Like Colonel Cornell's giving this, but like he's asking this, but to who? To do what? Does that make sense? Like to do what? What are we doing? What are we talking about? Where does this go? Is someone going to answer this question and then do something about it? Like I just don't understand what the point of all this is. It just to have a casual conversation about this? All right. What is the liminal boundary between physical brain, conscious and subconscious mind, and super or collective unconscious? Human potential research. All right. That's one we could start with right away. But who? And who's this for? Makes sense? Is this to inspire other academics, essentially, to start doing things in their field or whatever, depending on who the attendees are, right, for this? I don't know. I guess that's really my question. Like, who is this all for? This can't be just for the everyday person, right? What anyone just average person watching this right now, like what are you going to do with all these questions? You're going to go answer them and do something about it? I mean, no, right? Me neither. It's interesting. Human potential training. What are the most reliable identification, assessment, and training mechanisms for investigating and developing extraordinary human potential? I don't know. Start with sports, right? Where you can see exceptional human beings, right? Now, granted, you'd say, oh, it's only physical. That's not true. If you've ever played sports, it's a very mental game, right? It's a combination of physical and mental, like acuity, right? Like a high IQ on both. And discipline and what I mean, these are some elite people, right? It's interesting. I don't know where you go with that, but interesting. All right. I think this is the last one here. Line of effort, D, industry and society, political advocacy, how best to synchronize efforts of the pro UAP disclosure movement. You see this pro UAP disclosure movement. Well, what do we mean by that? Pro what? UAP disclosure what? How? What does that mean? UAP disclosure. What do we mean by that? Disclosure of what? Just we're not alone, or some craft, some this, so like we don't even, that's not even ever defined. Are you pro UAP disclosure? Well, I don't know. What does that mean? So synchronize efforts with politics. I don't know. Intellectual property. What is the legal standard for human ownership of technologies of unknown origin and biological evidence of NHI, as well as any IP derived therefrom? All right. That's an interesting question. Right? If you find something crashes in your backyard, right, that's from another civilization or whatever, is it yours? Do you have ownership of that thing now? Or can, let's say in America, let's say it happened here, can the United States government just come in and take it? Eminent domain. Boom. That's ours. If an asteroid lands in your backyard, essentially the same thing, right? What do we do with asteroids and things that come from space? I mean, should be the same laws. So whatever that is. Biological evidence of it. Same thing. If you got a body, an alien body, does it become yours? And let's say you get that little piece of craft, right? And then you build something off of that. Do you then own the thing you built off of it? I don't know. That is quite an interesting legal question, way above my head. And I've heard every kind of, theory and position, if you will, about this. I've had many conversations with people about this, and people think so differently. Some people think you should have a right to it. Other people think, well, what if a nuke dropped in your backyard? Is that yours? You get to own the nuke. I mean, these are fair points, right? These are fair points. It's almost like there's an individual position and then there's a societal position, meaning, well, just if you were the only person on the planet and you found something, well, clearly it's yours, right? But well, now there's a whole society. We've all agreed to have a certain amount of rules and live together. It kind of changes things, right? But again, freedom's messy. So I don't know. Once you start putting restrictions, where does it stop? But if that thing that you acquired, on your property or whatever, however it is, if it could destroy the planet, do we really just need to let Joe Schmo have it? Because, well, hey, it's yours. Land in your backyard, man. You know what I mean? That means it's yours now, Bob. Billy Bob. That's yours. You can keep it. I think there's something to that, right? It's like, well, then if he uses it, then it'll be illegal. Yeah, but what if it blows up the planet? Like, there's nothing, there's no way to get him after that. So I'm personally, it's like, what would we vote on that? I think that needs to, come out to a vote and people vote on it. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation. Business. This is interesting. How best to incentivize public-private collaboration in the reverse engineering of technologies of unknown origin in the examination of NHI. So I can tell definitely with they're using 2.0 so much right now, right? So they're trying to separate. We have this craft. So here it is. It's basically you have the craft, which are technologies of unknown origin. Then you have the NHI, which are the bodies, right? Non-human intelligence. And then you have UAP, which encompasses everything, right? Because it just means unidentified anomalous phenomena, right? So I think that's what's happening. Okay. Economics. How best to incentivize public-private collaboration. I don't really think you need to incentivize anybody. I think the question would be, how do you limit who does it? Because everyone and their mother is going to want to study a technology of unknown origin, right? I can't imagine any scientist or researcher in the entire world who's not going to want to look into it. So I don't think you need to incentivize anything. I think the question is more, how to limit, like how to decide who gets to first. Clearly there's going to be a line. And again, this also is, are we asking the question after the world knows we're not alone, or are we asking this question just now and we still haven't even proven UFOs exist or that aliens have visited Earth, I should say. There's definitely things flying around. We don't know what they are. That is proven, but what they are, right, is still unidentified. So it just depends when we're asking that question, essentially. Economics. How best to introduce products derived from TUA into the global marketplace in the safest, most equitable, and non-disruptive manner. I mean, I guess that's just a business question because each company should be allowed to introduce their product into the market however they want. It depends how far advanced that thing is in the market, right? Like, if someone's like, oh, we got a telepathy device, well, there goes mobile phones. Right? That telepathy would then allow you to even see the internet in your head. Different side, like, I don't know. That's an interesting question. What do y'all think about that? Integrity. Have NHI been conducting public diplomacy? Have NHI been conducting public diplomacy or possibly covert societal manipulation via interaction with close observers? I think we could replace NHI with just humans. Have humans been conducting public diplomacy or possibly covert societal manipulation via interaction with close observers? Yes. Have NHI been conducting public diplomacy? I don't know. That just seems odd that they would be like covert societal manipulation. You know what I mean? That seems very odd. All of this. These are things like humans would do. I don't know. That's an interesting one. Are they effing with us, basically, is what they're asking, right? Are the aliens effing with us somehow? We'll never know because we can't even, let's say they are here and we're talking to them. We can't even believe what they tell us. What do we have to go off of? Nothing. Commerce. How best to incentivize and regulate off-world trade and commerce with NHI, assuming such were feasible? That's interesting. We got trade routes, right? Going with them. Mm. Hmm. I don't think you need to incentivize any of that. Regulate it. Yeah. Off-world trade and commerce. I mean, we're talking Star Trek world, Star Wars, right? Essentially. I mean, same way we do trade now. I guess it'd be tariffs and laws and this. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess these are interesting questions, right? All right. Well, that's done. I'm sure there's more. I'm going to get to some viewer questions here. Let's get the vetters involved. See what everyone's saying. Ebony has gifted 1 membership. Thank you so much, Ebony. Gifted another membership. You rock. Let's see here. All right, 30 questions in all caps or comments in all caps that you think the rest of the audience should see here. And let's talk. Let's see what you guys think. Here we go. Ebony, well, let's just take your comment. Let's see. What do you say here? There's positively oriented entities just the same as there's negatively oriented entities. We cannot dismiss the possibility of negative NHI manipulating us and or our governments. I agree. To be like, oh, they're all good. There's no way to know that. They're all bad. There's also no way to know that. Odds are it's probably a mix. You're exactly right. Pebble says they are telling us we need to take care of the planet we live in, but we are not listening. Heard that. There's a lot of cases where that is the message from NHI. We're not taking care of our planet. You know, that's kind of one of those things where you don't really need to believe in NHI or aliens or UFO to just think that's a good idea. Let's take care of our planet. Because guess what, y'all? We only have one, right? We only have the one Earth. So we might as well play it safe rather than, well, I don't believe in that. We'll be fine. You're going to bet the whole Earth on that? Earth, baby. If we don't start with the truth, then the rest doesn't matter. Exactly. Yeah. I'm wondering where's the coup de grace? So who was it? Matthew Pines, right? Spoke about this coup de grace moment back in August and coming anytime. And it is the end of November and it has not come. But look, surprise, surprise, right? So many times things are touched just around the corner. It's kind of, I'm no offense to him or anyone that says stuff like that. I just don't believe you if you say something like that. Sorry. Because you got Lou Elizondo stating now, 2027, something's coming. If you can just wait a couple more years, you'll have disclosure. What is that? Again, define disclosure. What do you mean by that? Couple years. It's always a couple years or just around the corner or whatever. Whatever. Question: what two questions would you ask to get us to the truth? Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. What would y'all ask? And who would you ask is even the better question on top of that, right? Like, who would you need to ask? I don't know if there's like a one gotcha question. I don't know. This is a great question, great discussion. I would build a whole discussion based off this question right here because this leads to a lot. I like that. But yeah, tell me what you guys think in the comments of that. What's the point of soul if we don't have disclosure yet? I'm so confused. Well, I'm confused too. I'm super confused. I wake up confused. Yeah, I mean, in some ways I agree. In other ways, I also could see the other side, meaning, hey, people can do what they want with their time. It's that simple, right? It's a free country. Patrick, how could they monetize technology that is already owned by another species? Well, that's a great point, Leanne. I don't know. That's a great point. I mean, exactly. Are there now international, intergalactic laws that we have to abide by? You know what I mean? The law's already confusing. Imagine when, you know what I mean? You have to consider another solar system's laws. I don't know. Does it then become possession as 9/10 of the law, right? Would things need to change? I mean, things would need to change. It's that simple. And these are all great questions and great comments. We could just skip the unnecessary speculation by finding a way to confront the NHI directly with these questions. Sure. Absolutely. And that would be awesome. I don't know if I'd want to be there for that, but I'd watch it on TV. Hello, Patrick. Did you see today on BBC Info just saying mystery drone seen flying over U.S. bases in UK? Not much info, but intriguing. Pardon me. Pardon me. It reminds me of Rendlesham. Yeah, drones. They literally identified them as drones. So they could identify them. But yeah, I saw that. Oh, here we go. This is an interesting comment. You need to check out the telepathy tapes. It changes everything. I've heard about these. What do y'all think of this? I feel like I need to do a video on it or deep dive on it. Telepathy tapes. It's like a podcast or something. I'm a little confused what it is. I've heard about it. Definitely people have been talking about it, saying how wonderful it is. So I want to check it out. So yeah, I just need more information on it. And I would love to hear what you guys think about the telepathy tapes. Ryan makes a great point here. Good and bad can be subjective also. Are we bad for raising livestock for food? Yeah, great point, my man. I agree. Good and bad is subjective. We created good and bad on earth, right? We created good, evil, right? The devil, God, right? We've created that dichotomy, right? This split, right, into two. And depending on who you talk to, something's good, something's bad. So I agree. That's a great point. If NHI were 10,000 years more advanced than us, what could they do to our problems? It's a great question. What if they still have some of the same problems we would? Do all problems go away? What is a problem? What becomes a solution? Does a solution necessarily negate the problem, or does it just, suppress it? But it's still there. I don't know. That's an interesting thought. Like, how could they help us if they came here? What problems would they resolve? But by resolving that problem, would it then not create other problems? Which is typically what happens. I don't know if we could ever be problemless, right? But that's an interesting thought, or a conversation to have, Gabriel, like around what you just said here. That this would be a great conversation. Look at the work of Ken Shoulders, Friedwart Winterberg, Takaki Matsumoto, Vladimir Dubovic, Sal Pais, Robert Watson. Their science has been out there and proven experimentally repeatedly. Okay. Patrick, you're an awesome human. Question: what can we all do to find out what's really going on? Dude, Terrence, I have no way to answer that, man. That's each person to decide. I don't know. Critically think. Probably your first step, if you want to find out what can we do to find out what's really going on? Your first step would be to accept the fact that you may never know what's going on. Start there. Look at it as a bonus if you find out. Because the universe is under no obligation to reveal itself to anyone, right? There's no obligation. It's what we'd want, right? But the universe, again, is under no obligation to reveal its mysteries to us or any life. So I would start with, if we find out aliens, it's a bonus. If we find out aliens are visiting us, that's a bonus, right? But I begin with, I don't know, and I'm okay with not knowing. That's the key, is you become okay with not knowing something. If you can become okay with not knowing, right, I think it's a better life. And anything you do find out, and your curiosity and your thirst for knowledge, it's just a bonus. It's great. Could the advancement of AI and quantum physics be motivating the phenomenon to make contact at this time? Yeah, heard about this too. Like that this higher intelligence is potentially waiting for us to have a higher intelligence it could communicate with, because as of right now, it's no way. So that's kind of interesting, right? I think that's kind of interesting. An interesting idea. If we do create this super smart AI, it can then talk to aliens for us. What if aliens talk through it to us, right? Like all of a sudden the AI is like, oh, I'm getting a message. From where? I don't know. It's coming in, but here it is. It's like, oh shit. Which that's what I think would happen, right? I've always had this great movie idea of like an alien invasion, but they come in through the computers and shit, right? Phones and everything, right? Like they're not coming in on big spaceships, right? They come in digitally, my digital aliens theory, right? They come in, boom, take over the planet. So yeah, they would immediately interact with our AI, which is interesting. Anyway, whatever, stupid. Pavel just did a show on the telepathy tapes. They are the coup de grace. They're the coup de grace? Oh, I don't know about that, but all right, I will check that out, brother. Thank you so much, Thomas. And thank you for bringing that up, my man. The rich only cares of one thing, money, and could care less of the earth. They live in the moment with no care for the future. Great show, Patrick. Yeah, that's the reason they're rich, because they care about money. I agree, my man. Richness is in the soul, baby. It's in the heart, right? It's in the family and friends you have around you. That's how I define my riches. Hmm. Oh, okay. Hang on. Yeah. My bad. This is from Patrick. Says his name is Patrick too. What if we live in a mental reality? Idealism and NHI are incorporeal conscious agents who can circumvent the organizing principles of nature. Sure. The what if, you can say what if to a bazillion things, and then some you just go, yeah, it's totally possible. Everything is possible till it's not. So yeah, I mean that is completely possible. What do y'all think of this? And to be fair to your question too, Patrick, like there's a lot of things I would need answered. What do you mean by conscious agents? What do you mean by circumvent? What do you mean by organizing principles of nature? Right? There's a lot I would need you to expand upon before I could even attempt to answer this question, in my opinion. But thank you for sending that in. Thank you for that question. And please, guys, you guys answer that in the chat. Costas might want to change the abbreviation to NHHHI, non-human higher. How much crap to get through till we have some tangible evidence, intelligence. That's funny. That's funny. And I like it. I like it a funny. I like it a funny. You be funny, I like it. AJ says, question. Hey, Patrick, what are your thoughts on why the narrative is shifting more towards interdimensional? I mean, I got a lot of thoughts. Well, a cynical thought would be, well, they just need something new to talk about. Another might be what they thought they were interpreting as extra terrestrial was actually just, them not coming from a distant planet, just another dimension, right? It could be that something they discovered, whether it be something physical, right, or an interaction that they had, that was either told to them or explained in some way, or someone has visited this other dimension, come back to tell the story, and that's why we're bringing that up, right? Who knows? It could be just part of a theory, right? We just run out of things to talk about. Well, what if they're interdimensional? Because you hear everything. What if they're time travel? What if they're interdimensional? What if they're crypto terrestrials? What if they're extraterrestrials? What if they're all five? What if they're aliens from the future, aliens from the past? What if they're humans from the future, humans from the past, humans from another dimension, aliens from another, right? Like all of it. It's who knows. But very fun to talk about. Very, very fun to talk about. Hmm. Heiser says Gary Nolan has talked about this. What could we possibly have to offer a species so more advanced than us? I agree. That's an interesting question. What could we offer them? It's too hard to know because when we say so more advanced than us, well, so more advanced than us, how? Just technologically more advanced, but maybe not morally or societally or artistically or creatively, or does that make sense? Or emotionally, or right? There's so many parts to the human experience. It's not just technology, right? Like, in fact, we didn't really start. When did humans start using quote unquote technology? You know, the majority of our existence has been without technology. So defining human existence meant something else. So maybe we can offer, right? When we say they're more advanced than us, advanced how? But great conversation to bring up, Heiser. Brandon Funkhauser. He says, I was at Seoul, and the point of it is to provide a safe space for open discussion of this topic and to provide a jumping off point to develop policy and action items to further disclosure. Well, that sounds straight out of the brochure, Brandon. But I appreciate you saying that. Sure. So it sounds like vetted. You just described vetted, right? I just provide a safe space for open discussion. That's my whole thing. I just don't make any claims or have any sources or claim to have worked for the government and that I know personally that we're not alone, right? That it's a little different. But all right, no, I appreciate that, Brandon. Thank you. To be honest, they're never going to disclose anything. They might acknowledge something's going on. It will have to be a scientific civilian disclosure. I agree. I see a lot of great comments in here, y'all. See a lot of good comments, a lot of good discussion, y'all. Okay, Ebony's saying telepathy tapes, very intriguing on Spotify, studying neurodivergent children, autistic children, and ESP capabilities. Very intriguing. I've only listened to one so far. Okay, cool. Very cool. Light Being Love says the telepathy tapes are about autistic children who are telepathic. Bam. Yeah, I mean, that sounds interesting. I mean, that sounds interesting. So it sounds like it's just audio only, not video, which makes sense. I guess I would have seen some clips. All right, Light Being Love. That sounds cool. I want to check that out. Do you think the hearing's an error or a waste of time? If so, what can we do differently to know what's happening? It just they're a waste of time if you look at it a certain way, and you could argue they're not a waste of time if you look at it through XYZ lens, right? Depends what perspective and lens and what the expectation, what was the goal, right? So, could you find a silver lining in anything? Well, of course, right? So, but if there's only a limited amount of time that could be spent on the topic, and the majority of that is getting spent on these hearings, I would say that's not good. That makes sense. But if there's more time and energy, and it's yeah, we can chew gum and walk at the same time, and we can do many things and have many things going. That I agree with. But it depends. If resources and time are minimal, and then I see it as a waste of time. But the arrow one is going to happen regardless. Right? That one will just happen. It's in the Senate. It's different. The House hearing is where it's at. All right, guys, I'm going to go 5 more minutes here. Hmm. Patrick, have you got yourself a pair of night vision recordable binoculars yet? No. No, I have not. You don't want me out there trying to capture a UFO on camera, right? That's not going to be good. And I have not seen anything. I want to, and I have yet to see something, but I am looking, y'all. I think just seeing something anomalous would be kind of cool, right? Like, oh shit, what was that? You know? Yeah, this is we're in an interesting time, y'all. I think for people's sanity, definitely focusing on the independent private citizen, you know, research, you know, essentially. And I think just get used to the fact that talking and speculating is the topic. That's essentially it. Just retelling stories, cases, speculating. Like, that's it. That's the whole thing. You know what I mean? Because if every day you're hoping to wake up with the news that, we're not alone on the TV, like it's going to be a very sad and depressing life. All right. Just live your life normal, enjoy your friends, your family, the life around you. And just look at this as, I speculate about and talk about it, and this is fun. And maybe I try to, if I've had an experience, maybe I'm trying to connect with people who've also had an experience and try to understand my own experience. Like that I get, or I saw something or whatever, right? I want to know more. What's happening with the government? That's kind of like, well, come back and forth on that journey. Because if you're there every day you're screwed. All right. Con, this is my last question here. Comment. I'm putting it to you. We say higher or advanced, but they may never started the same way that we did. Yeah, absolutely. They maybe reached civil propulsion much quicker because they didn't focus on weapons like we did. Just a thought. Yeah, exactly, man. We have no idea. Just look at how all the different cultures and species on Earth evolved and what they did, right? So absolutely, completely plausible. There's no way to know. And I agree. I agree. All right, y'all. This was a lot of fun. Just a relaxing Sunday, hanging out with my vetters, y'all. This was so much fun. I really, really enjoy this. So I had a blast. So anyway, jump in the Discord after party if you want. Again, it's free to join. There's a link down in the description. Anybody can join. It's not my secret sources. Anybody can jump in there and talk and hang out. That's all it's for. Open discussion, respectful discussion. We're just there to talk, laugh, enjoy each other's company, and dive into some of these topics, right? Bring your opinion, bring your thoughts, bring your theories. We love hearing them. So, all right, y'all. Really enjoyed today. Thank you again to all the mods and the vetters. We will see you guys tomorrow. If not, we'll see you in Discord. All right, y'all. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through eyes covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.